If you're a residential real estate agent earning $200,000 a year and you want to grow your passive income, this show's for you. Learn the secrets other agents use and hear from experts in our field in order to guide you along your journey to investing in assets like apartment communities so that you can turn your commissions into cash flow. I'm Randall McLeod. Let's go, baby. All right, here we go, guys. Great to have you back for another week of Agents Building Cash Flow. I'm your host, Randall McLeod. Today, I'm joined by Amanda, the Traveling Realtor Williams. It's really an interesting conversation. She is a realtor and she's an investor. So it's a great conversation around how she built her cash flow and how she's continuing to build her cash flow, and how her business evolved over time from doing just the broker side of the business or the fix and flip strategy that she was implementing to short-term rentals. So if you've ever wondered about short-term rentals, how to get started, things to do, she has a course, she has some other things that she works on, and all that information is in the show notes. But in this episode, she goes in and she gives us some tips and some advice that we can use and implement if we want to get started in that business. She's a wealth of knowledge, and I definitely learned myself, and will be turning one of our properties into a short-term rental because of the conversation. So take your pen, paper out, take some notes. You're going to learn something from it. If you're getting something from the show, as always, I ask that you rate and review wherever you're listening to it. It helps us with the algorithms, helps us grow listenership and all of that. So would really appreciate that. And without further delay, here we go. Amanda, welcome to the show. I just talking just now, like I'm pumped for this conversation so we can learn kind of what you're doing and how we can all have better lives if we follow you. So thanks for joining me. And yeah, let's just jump in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are, what market you're in, and what you focus on right now on the broker side.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks, Randall, for having me to the show. I saw the name of the show and I was like, yes, that is totally me. So I'm excited to be here with you and just have a chat. I'm currently sitting in Raleigh, North Carolina right now. I'm not normally here. I've been spending the last 3 years in Cabo San Lucas mostly. I am the traveling realtor, so it's kind of hard to say where I live. I don't really know where I live anymore. I'm pretty remote at this point. But my business itself is in Raleigh, North Carolina, as far as my rental business is in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then I am a licensed agent in North Carolina as well, but I have agent partners in 5 countries, 33 states. I just bought my first international Airbnb. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I do want to know the international story, like where you bought. I think, did you say something about Belize? Was that? Yeah. Okay. So we'll get to that, but let's talk brokerage first. The traveling realtor. So in order to be able to travel, live the lifestyle that you have, immediately I'm like, okay, I got 2 kids. Like, can I, how does this work? Do you have the children running around? Do they go with what's your personal life? If we can dig into that for a second, how does that look?
Nothing alive.
Okay.
I can't keep anything alive. So there's no pets, there's no kids, there's no plants, There's none of that. Because I'm really remote at this point. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's it. I'm getting ready to go on a trip right now. In 2 weeks, I'll be going to Africa, and then that trip will take me to Gibraltar and Tuscany and the UK and London and like all this amazing stuff. And so I've been traveling a lot, but this year is a lot of travel because I joined the Tony Robbins Platinum program. All right. And just with the Platinum program alone, there's over like 20 different events that I'll be going to. And so that's like 20 weeks out of the year I'll be with Tony people.
Is that, so explain what that is. Is that something you sign up to go to as events, or are you actually like helping run the event? Like, what is that? What capacity are you doing that with?
Yeah, so I signed up for his private mastermind. So there's 400 people. It's called the Platinum Partners. And we take 3 trips a year with Tony and Sage. So we're actually going on a safari with Tony and Sage in a few weeks. It'll be super exciting. And so it's those events. And then we get access to all of Tony's events. So he has UPW, Business Mastery, Date with Destiny, all of that, I'll be at life mastery, wealth mastery. He's got a resort in Fiji we're going to. So there's a lot of that going on as well. There's some of the stuff is virtual too, but we do have the option, anything that is live, we have the option to be in studio with him, to experiencing it in person with the other platinum members. And so, yeah, that's what that looks like. There is a leadership academy as well that I start next week with him. So right now I'm a sponge. I'm soaking it all up, and then I'll be going through leadership. And then eventually it's more of a volunteer role, but after you go through leadership with Tony, then for the rest of your life, you can attend any event people who are going through the same education.
Yeah. That's awesome. Do you know a guy named Stephen Pesavento? It sounded like he did something very similar. And he runs another podcast, The Investor Mindset, and he was in a mastermind with me. So I just didn't know if it was the same program that he did, or if he had just volunteered. But that's amazing. So congrats on that. I might ask you about that a little bit later, just to get an idea. My wife and I have been talking about going to some of his events. So that's awesome. Let's get back to some of the things. Immediately, my thing, I key in on, okay, you're traveling. You still have your brokerage side of the business where you're transacting. Like what kind of properties are you transacting? And you're doing this nationally or internationally? Your actual brokerage where you're helping buyers and sellers?
Yeah. So I have my own real estate firm. I partnered my firm with EXP about 6 years ago. And about 3.5 years ago, I decided to step out of the transaction side of the business. So I started bringing in my agent partners who, joined me at EXP, and putting them on my deals and teaching them really how to take care of most of my clients were investors, because that's my life. Yeah. So I transferred all of those over to my agents, and now I just get referral fees on those investors. And so it allowed me to step out of the day-to-day operations of like being a real estate agent. So that's what freed me up to become this traveling realtor that I wanted to bring in. And I did brand as the traveling realtor about 4 years ago.
Yeah. All right. So that's how it's done. Okay. I have another guest that came on a while back, and he was talking about being very intentional about setting up referral partners all over the country. And a similar thing, he was kind of like the connector. People would call him, and he just knew, hey, I got John over here in San Diego. He's going to handle you. So have you done it in that way or is it more like anybody just was it North Carolina? Was it anyone in that market? Or have you gone further and said, anywhere I travel to, I'm going to try to make partners and do deals and this sort of thing? Like, how does that look in your mind?
Yeah. So I guess I started in North Carolina because that's where my business was. And then as I started traveling, living in Cabo San Lucas for the last 3 years, I've referred a lot of business to the agent partners in Cabo. So I've built a little team in Cabo as well. And I refer the deals that I get through that way. I'm actually going to Tuscany here pretty soon. And I've been invited to stay in a Tuscan villa, like right beside where Under the Tuscan Sun was filmed. And so I'm going to do videos there. And if we sell this Tuscan villa due to my videos and my marketing, then I'll be getting a referral fee from that. So yeah, I'm doing some of that. The Belize property, which I'm sure we'll talk about, I bought one and then I sold 5 more. So yeah, it's just for me, I come out with the video, I do the social media posting, I get featured in the magazine, whatever it is. And then I will take those leads in, have a conversation with them, and then pass them over to someone who actually knows real estate in that country or that market, because I have no interest in learning real estate in those areas, nor can I represent a buyer and seller anywhere in the world besides North Carolina, which I don't want to do anyway. Yeah,
that's awesome. So at what point did you, because, I'm doing a podcast and I've got, some social media people that help me do a few things, but in general, at what point did you find that you had either a sufficient following that would allow you to operate in that way? Because really you just became the face and you've branded yourself personally. And so now you can, turn on a marketing machine and have people see something that you are pushing out there. So like, can you talk about that evolution? It sounded like you also taught a course on this recently. So maybe you could high level the course points you could go through.
Yeah. I'll tell you how this whole thing really got started, though, and it has nothing to do with real estate.
All right.
My dad got cancer, and so I took him down to Mexico, to Tijuana, to get some alternative cancer therapy down there.
Yeah.
And I just felt in my soul that I had to tell everyone that there was another option besides chemotherapy for an 82-year-old man. And so I went live every single day. This was a month we spent in Tijuana. I went live every day to my Facebook, and I shared our story, and I shared what we were doing. And I gained thousands of followers that way. And then organically, while we were down in Mexico, we started house hacking. That's what got us into Airbnb. So it just like organically happened. And then I started talking about, oh my gosh, now we're doing these Airbnb properties. And we're instead of selling this flip that we just finished, we're actually going to keep it. And this is going to be an Airbnb too. So it just started growing that way. And I've transitioned, into more real estate stuff and more investing stuff. But I still talk about the health aspect because I'm very passionate about health and wellness and curing diseases.
Yeah, that's
my following.
And so it was non-chemo related. This is a sidebar, but I'm curious now. It was a non-chemo related treatment, and it was successful. It was, sorry, I don't know where we want to go with that. I don't, but I'm just kind of curious. In general, it's like one of those things that a buddy of ours had to go, and he's young. He's like in his 40s, and he had to go and have this like invasive, treatment in order to help his cancer. And he was looking all over for different sort of therapies and things that he could go do. So again, you spoke about it. You were obviously live about this thing. So I'm just,
yes, it worked. We took him down. We spent 1 month there. He had a tumor the size of your fist in his bladder that was growing. It was growing through the bladder wall. So it's called the Gerson therapy. It was the main therapy that we did down there. Now, there was a few other therapies that were involved as well. It's the CHIPSA clinic for anyone wanting to research that. The CHIPSA clinic in Tijuana, Mexico. It was the very first Gerson clinic 100 years ago. And so we were there for 1 month. He came home. He stayed on the routine. And then 6 months later, when he went in to have his scans, that tumor that was the size of your fist had shrunk to the size of your pinky nail, and it was literally like black and like shriveled. And so the doctor just kind of scraped it out and said, I have no idea what happened, but it's gone. Wow. Now, he didn't make it. He didn't die because of the cancer. He died because of his heart about 6 months after we got the good news. But the treatment did work.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Okay. Always, again, sidebar, completely unrelated to real estate, but I appreciate you sharing that. Okay. So you're talking about house hacking down there, and you're talking about investing and how you've kind of gotten out of the active brokerage side because you have created this brand. So I've got a note in here about you using AI. Like, are you using AI for some things here and there? So here's my question then. If you are, how can AI-powered automation help realtors personalize their marketing campaigns and deliver targeted messages to potential home buyers in a crowded market?
Oh my gosh, I just did a whole training on this. Yes, I am totally like going crazy with AI right now. I'm in the process of I already have a course that teaches real estate agents how to start and scale their short-term and mid-term rental property business. And I'm in the process of adding how can a host use AI to build out your property descriptions, your email marketing campaigns, your responses to your reviews. I mean, there's so much stuff, writing your blogs, doing all of your social media. So yes, that is amazing. And then as far as realtors using this technology, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, hosts and realtors, we all do the same thing as far as, writing your descriptions and everything, but there's just so much to it. So give me an actual question about this.
So like I'm using it for those purposes. What I'm very curious about with it's more like auto GPT. That's really what I'm more interested in because it can be running in the background, almost like a personal assistant, and it's going out, acquiring data, re-querying, chat GPT so that it can then build its own model, right? That's kind of in a high level. And so I started digging into that recently, and I don't know all that can be done, but it's a topic that is so hot. So yeah, I use it to help answer podcast questions, to generate our generate our property descriptions, to write a blog or to write a newsletter or something like that. I mean, if you're not using it for that, that's kind of a no-brainer. It's an easy, like, low-hanging fruit that you can start with. But I've also heard real estate investors talking on like Bigger Pockets podcasts about using it to go out and build a list for them for potential properties. And then it's just kind of creating. So I'm like, okay, where is that? I want to know, and I want to use that and implement that myself. So just didn't know if you had heard about that or if you're doing that yourself.
I have heard about it. I have not started doing that. However, have you been using the plugins?
No. Like, okay, what is a plugin? Yeah.
So when you go to your chat GPT, click on 4 or 4.5, yep, whatever is the latest version. And then when you go down, there is a beta plugin that you can click on. If you click on that, then you go to the plugin store. And then from there, you can choose. There's like 150 plugins or something right now. And by the time this is released, there'll probably be like 500.
Yeah.
But with the plugins, so I learned this yesterday. I'm in a mastermind about AI as well. And so in my mastermind, we were talking about how to find out what the analytics are for your website and where's the traffic coming from, what's your SEO score, like all of that stuff. And so you can add the plugin that actually you can put the link to your website. And there's a few other plugins as well that will tell you all of the data about your website. And then you can say, okay, now, what should we do to optimize this to show up as first on Google? How are we going to build this SEO? What are the keywords? It will literally give you everything that you need. You copy it, you paste it, you send it to your VA, right? What I did with the keywords is I had it write a blog about it. And then we've been posting having an AI write our blogs using the keywords, posting that to our website, and then pushing that out, the blog out on social media, on LinkedIn, like all of our different accounts. And that's driving all of our traffic, not all, but the majority of our traffic to our website right now.
Yeah. Do you have a single source, like evergreen content almost, where you're just like, this is the squeeze page, or this is the thing that you drive everybody to? Or is it, hey, go to my website and check it out and you can reach me from there?
Well, it depends on the business. I have run 3 businesses.
Yeah.
So my rental property business, we do have our lead magnet, which is a relocation guide. So whenever I'm writing about the blog, then at the bottom, I always have a link to, hey, download your free relocation guide if you're looking into moving to North Carolina. Now, obviously, that's going to put them in an email campaign, and that we're going to try to get them to stay with us, and we're going to try to sell them a house and all of that. That's different. If this is something, regarding the Traveling Realtor brand, then that I sell a course, I teach, I do all the stuff with this brand. So I have multiple opt-ins for that. So I've got a new starter kit that I just released, it's an ebook, it's a workbook, and it's like all of my checklist for all of the rooms in a short-term and mid-term rental. It's a really great product. So that's our starter kit. And then I also have like checklist opt-ins and do's and don't opt-ins and webinar opt-ins. I mean, there's a lot of opt-ins. So I'm not ever driving anyone just to my website. If someone goes to amandathetravelingrealtor.com, they're going to get super confused because that's my hub of everything that I do. And they're going to be like, whoa.
Yeah. So what do you, sorry, go ahead.
I always just send them to something that's very simple. And it's like, this is what you're going to get when you opt in.
Yeah. It's like a funnel type deal. So what are you using then? Do you have a specific CRM that you use that does all of this, or do you have multiple different, you're all over the place with like different SaaS products?
I used to be all over the place and it was a lot. I moved everything over to a high level platform. So it's a platform.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
people label those platforms.
Yep. All right, cool. I'm on that. So that's exactly what I was curious about. Yeah, it's a great platform. It has everything in there, and you can do. You get rid of like the Kajabis, you get rid of your mail chimps, you get rid of all these other things, and you can just have everything in one platform. So, all right, I'm in good company. Feel good about that.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, as far as the course, I've hosted my course on there for the last 2 years. I am in the process of taking my course off of there only because I've hired Brad Lee with Lightspeed. And so I'm going to be moving everything over to like a more of an interactive learning platform. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to be able to see the students' progress. I want to be able to collaborate with them, work with them, and really just like offer them more. So there'll be all kinds of different amazing things in this platform. I don't even want to get into it because there's so much to it, but that's the reason why I'm moving over. And I'll be the only person on this platform that teaches anything about short-term rentals. And then this is the platform that Grant Cardone, Damon John, all these guys, they all have their courses on this platform. So yeah. I wanted to be with them.
Yeah. Be in good company. Okay. We're proud to be sponsored by Ridgeline Investment Group. Ridgeline has a track record of transacting more than $53 million in assets throughout Texas. Ridgeline is currently looking to acquire 100 to 200 unit Class B multifamily communities between 5 and 20 million in San Antonio, Temple, Waco, Tyler, and other Texas secondary markets. To learn more about Ridgeline Investment Group, visit www.ridgelineig.com. All right, so let's talk short-term rentals then. Let's get into it. And so you started, was your first deal the house hack deal down in Tijuana? Okay, so that started it all.
Well, you bought my house was in North Carolina.
Okay, your house is in North. Okay, oh, I got you. So yeah, explain kind of the evolution real fast, and because I want to get into actual financials of short-term rentals compared to just regular rentals. So yeah, how did you did that first deal and then speak to that, the transition, the evolution.
So when we were gone, we just put all of our personal belongings in attics and closets and garages and locked everything up. And that's called house hacking. And so we did that. That house did really, really well. The first 2 weeks, we were like, oh, wow, like we should probably do more of these. And so we ended up keeping some of our flips, turning those into Airbnbs. We bought a couple as well, like, I don't know, a month after we got home, a little log cabin. And then we were like, we're out of money because we were buying them and we were, instead of flipping it, now we're holding it, right? We're having to refinance and pull the money out and all that stuff. So we started doing something called rental arbitrage. So what that is whenever you go to the landlord of a property that's just for rent, it's a normal property for rent, vacant. And then you rent that property for, let's just say, $2,000 a month. You go in, you furnish the property, you set up all the utilities, you make it pretty, you do all your marketing, and then you re-rent that property. Now, you can go put it on Airbnb and do nightlies, which is how we started. We were only on Airbnb. Or you could take that and you could go and you could rent that monthly, which is what I'll cover a little bit here too, because that's where our business is now. And it's been a game changer for us. So that is, that's how we got started. And so we're up to 25 properties now, but we only own 5 of them. And then we're arbitraging and really marketing the other ones.
All right. So rental arbitrage. All right. So I come in, I've got a house. People reach out to me a lot and they ask me the same question, but I've never seen the legal docs associated with that. So it's a lease with a sublease, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a master. Yeah, I had an attorney write up our lease. It's a master lease. So, and I have like my master lease and my lease for my 30-day stay tenants. I actually give all of those away too in my course. Okay.
All right. So we'll plug that in the show notes and people can go take a look at that. So just, I guess, the economics of it, obviously you're not having to go out and put a down payment down or rehab a house and come out of pocket with all of those things. Maybe you have a regular security deposit. I don't know. Do you pay more for security deposit when you do this play? No? Okay.
No, 1 month.
And you're getting a 12-month contract, 12-month lease typically?
Yeah, typically I'll start with a 12-month. And then if the property works for me, then when I renew, it's a 2-year. So then I'll renew every 2 years.
Okay. All right. So then your cost is the furnishing. correct? It's putting the property in. Do you do any landscaping? Do you do anything else? Are you putting in hot tubs? Like what is okay. what's the cost typically for you to furnish a 3-bed, 2-bath?
So we can, in North Carolina, we can do that for under 10 grand.
Okay. And awesome.
Usually it's costing us between 6,000 to 8,000 for a 3-2.
Okay. And is that, so on that point, is that property size, or are you guys focused on, like I need waterfront, I need a pool, and I need, something else? Or so what does the typical property that you're doing this with look like?
Yeah. So all of our properties now, because we've been transitioning into this new model that we're in right now, most of our properties are 3 bedrooms. We have, I think, 4 bedrooms and 2 5-bedrooms. And so we're going 3 to 5 bedrooms is our average. We do have a couple of 2 bedrooms, but we don't really, like, those are townhomes, and we don't really want to specialize in townhomes. We want to specialize in single family homes. Okay. And so they're all updated properties. We're not doing the updates. So that's a good point, because whenever you're going to find a property to arbitrage, you're not going to want 80% of them, because they're going to be rental grade. They're not going to have granite. They're not going to be nice properties. And you want a nice property if you're doing a short-term, mid-term rental. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that it's really turned into this bespoke or really nice looking, I forget the word for it, but there's these hotels that are popping up where it's like each room is different. And so it's kind of the same idea. Forget what those hotels are called. But yeah, you like operators who are really providing that service and that experience. Those are the ones who are winning right now. So I'm kind of curious about that and your experience with that. But before we go down that road, why did you transition from the Airbnb model to a monthly? Like, what is that? What's the rationale there? And why is it better, I guess?
Yeah. So, COVID happened and we had about 60,000 cancel off the books in about a 48-hour period. And so at that point, I'd go into freak out mode for a day and start posting on social media. But we finally get this really nice couple who wanted to come down from New York. It was a couple with 3 little girls that were all in school, and they had a couple dogs, and they lived in an apartment in New York City. And so they wanted to come down and quarantine in one of our 3-bedroom, 3-bath homes on 4 acres of land. And they were like, this is going to be wonderful. The girls are going to have room to do their Zoom schools, and then we're going to have room to do our Zoom work. And then the dogs have a fenced in backyard. Like, oh my God, this is great. So we started hosting people like that. And then those people, turns out, really like North Carolina. And so they all wanted to move here. Yeah, so nice. Then we started selling them houses. And that's when my wheels started turning. And I'm like, oh my God, this is an entire business model. Like, I don't want to market to anyone else. I just want to market to people who are moving to North Carolina, and they want to come and they want to stay for a few months at a time, just to kind of get their feet wet, know the neighborhoods, understand which area they want to be in, because Raleigh is so different. I mean, there's all of these little towns around Raleigh that are like completely different from each other. And so that's why we transitioned and we came out with this Live Like a Local program. And I'm only marketing to people who are relocating to Raleigh. They come, they stay with us for a few months. We partner them with one of our real estate agents, and then we sell them a house. And so we are like quadruply dipping, because sometimes we're getting the listing on the back end as well if they're moving from an area and they need to sell a property and they don't have an agent.
Yeah. That's great. It's a great business model. Yeah, super smart. So yeah, on the economics of it, then compared to one, obviously, if you're able to do all 4 transactions, or the rental, the sale, the purchase, all those things, then it doesn't really matter if your monthly rental rate declines slightly, because your revenue from across the board is going to go up. But on a per property basis, has your revenue dropped from the Airbnb model compared to the monthly stay model, or is it about the same? Like, how does that work?
It's about the same, and it's way less work.
Yeah.
The reason I say that is because we're like a 97% occupancy doing it this way, versus Airbnb. Our highest was 83% occupancy.
That's on an annual basis. Yeah. Or at any given.
Just like looking at your monthly occupancy rates.
Okay.
So that is like, that's a huge jump because now we're looking at these people are staying for longer periods of time. Our average client stays for 3 months.
Okay.
And once you get them checked in and, they know how to work the TV and the dishwasher and, all the stuff, then they don't really bother you.
Yeah. That's awesome. I thought you were going to say something about like traveling nurses or something, but sorry, you there?
I don't do traveling nurses.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. I think there was a delay there for a second.
Yeah, I don't do. I'll touch on traveling nurses. So there's a lot of people in this industry that are doing traveling nurses, but I don't. My properties are not properties that traveling nurses want. They want a 1-bedroom apartment where they can stay alone and come back and have their peace and quiet. They can't afford my 3 to 5 bedroom homes. And so that's, it's a great business model if that's what you want to focus on, because they're great. They stay for months at a time, but you're also going to be having smaller properties that they're going to want.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard. Yeah, especially if they're smaller. So the 3 to 5. All right, let's go back to just a regular rental then. At the time when you're doing a regular, this has always been my hang up, and I just, for whatever reason, we own a number of properties here. I'm like, I'm just going to rent it. So what makes, I guess, financially, what are you earning on any of your properties compared to what you could if you just rented it out on an annual basis? Like on the monthly income, is it 20% higher? Is it 50% higher? It's untold sums of money. It's like,
it's way more.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. One of my houses, I was renting it for $1,200 a month. Actually, I gave him a discount the last year. So I went down to $1,100 a month, like a crazy person. So anyways, $1,200 a month. That property now as a midterm rental is, I think we're getting $5,500 a month right now, but we normally get $4,500 a month for that property. So it went from say $1,200 to $4,500 a month.
Goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're in it for a month or two. Obviously your expenses with Airbnb, your expenses with the cleaning fees and all of that, I guess you can push that on to them. They're paying for that. But yeah, on the midterm rentals, then it's a lot less, like you said, a lot less ongoing work once they're in the property. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
My wife is hopefully listening to this. We're going to do this with the lake house. It's the way to go. We kick it around. We've been talking about it and we're doing some waterfront development on it right now, just so that we can have a dock and some other things so once all of that's done, we've already furnished the place. We'll try it out. We'll pull some capital out on a refi, tax free, and then we'll rent that place out. Hopefully we'll get 4 or 5x what we would on a monthly basis. That's awesome. Okay. So let's ask.
Yeah. So just to put this into perspective. So I had 15, when I went to Mexico to take my dad to Mexico, I had 15 long-term rentals. Those 15 properties I was only cash flowing $4,300 a month on 15 long-term properties.
Yep.
Those same 15 properties, I get a minimum of $1,000 per property now for all of our properties, a minimum. So even if I was just getting a minimum on all of the properties, then that's $15,000 a month versus $4,300 a month, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 3x. Yeah.
So it was really an aha moment.
Yeah. 3x is better for sure. I like that. It's kind of crazy. I feel like I've missed the boat a little bit. So maybe speak to that, because when short-term rentals first came out and it was getting big, in I don't know, 12, 15, 12, 16, 17, somewhere, you're right. I was buying up properties. I was flipping properties. I was doing the whole deal. And then I saw a bunch of investors start buying them and keeping them as short-term rentals. So has the market slowed down? Has it been saturated? And how do you compete with that now, if that is the case?
Depends on where you are. Yes, there's definitely some markets that are pretty saturated, but what we're seeing now are those hosts that don't really know what they're doing are getting shoved out of the market. They're failing. They're having to sell their properties. We're actually getting a lot of listings that are coming from old Airbnbs because they don't know how to do it correctly. They have crappy furniture. They don't have professional photos. They're not keeping their superhost status. If they're on Airbnb, they're not marketing. They're not touching their listings every day. I mean, there's so much you have to do to run a short-term rental business. It's not a set it and forget it type of thing. You set it and forget it on Airbnb, you're going to be at the very bottom of the list. And so those people are going away. And the ones that are coming in and they're rising to the top are the ones that are coming in and doing it correctly. So I don't think like you've missed the boat or anything like that, especially if you're going the midterm rental route. I do know that a lot of the short-term rental people are now like they're trying to switch over to midterm. But again, if you don't have the correct photography and you don't have the right listing descriptions and you're not doing the right marketing, they're not going to be successful at that either. So as long as you come in and you do it correctly, then you are good. You're golden because people are always moving. Insurance companies are always looking for housing for people who are burning down their house or having plumbing issues or water damage or whatever it is. There's always relocation companies looking. There's always remote workers. There's always contract workers. If there's a new hotel being built in your city or if there's a new highway going in, those people are coming from out of town. They have to be housed somewhere. Right now, they're staying in hotels.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Solid. Good advice there. All right. So in your training program, I know you emphasize the importance of identifying properties that have the potential to generate passive income. Can you share some of the key factors or the criteria that real estate agents should consider when they're selecting those properties for short and midterm rentals?
They have to figure out who's their avatar. Who's their perfect client? Who do they want to rent to? Are they going to target vacationers? Are they in a good vacation spot? Are they going to target insurance claim clients or relocation clients? All of those, or traveling nurses, right? All of those different, I call them avatars, all of those different types of clients, they're all going to require a different type of home. And so it really comes down to figuring out like, who do you have in your network? Do you know people at the hospital? Are you an agent? Do you know a bunch of other agents in town that have a bunch of people coming in town for relocation? They need homes. Do you know a bunch of insurance agents? Can you get in with the insurance companies? Do you know someone who's head of HR at a relocation department or a big company? So it really is on an individual basis as to what tools do you have in your tool belt as an agent? And then also what market are you in? And so every single one of them is going to be different. Yeah.
Nuggets, a lot of gold nuggets right there, and avatars that you could pursue if you're actually trying to get into that business. I want to ask you then, so you've got a lot of traveling coming up. You've got so what are you seeing in the next 12 months? Like, what are you hyper focused on?
Oh man, I'm rolling out more courses.
Yeah.
Right now, I just have my arbitrage course. And so I'm rolling out my house hacking course. I have a lease option course and an owner finance course coming out because I've done both a lot. And I feel like in the next year or so, we're going to be having some great opportunities come across our desk as investors where we can do some lease options. We can do some owner financing to acquire properties. Back in 2015, about 9 owner finance properties in that 1 year. And so I feel like kind of that market's going to come back for us here in the near future. And so I want to equip people with the education that they need to be able to do that. So I'm traveling, but I'm also working on those courses as I'm traveling around.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'll talk to you about that maybe offline as well, just because I'm doing something similar, but I am almost of the mindset, like I've done a lot of different strategies, sub 2 wraps, owner finance, all these things. And I'm like, maybe there's someone who's already created this and I can just plug you in and just say, all right, anybody listening, like, check it out. Amanda's going to take you down the owner finance route and then go and then just have them go to your course and do that. So we can talk about that. But okay.
Well, hey, we could do an episode with you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I'm all for that. I think there's, I guess, synergies in there. And then you've got all this Tony Robbins stuff coming up. So that's exciting. You're going to have a big year. That's very cool. So look, I've enjoyed our conversation. There's a lot we could go down. I think for right now, we could leave it at that. I would say let's check back in a year and kind of catch up and see, maybe you can teach us all what Tony Robbins, his secrets and everything. Not that they're not out there, but yeah, I'm curious to see how your year goes. But yeah, at the end, let's chat. Tell me, I guess, what's your favorite pastime not related to real estate? I'm going to guess travel, but maybe I'm wrong.
Definitely traveling. But I love being outside. So hiking, anything outside, being in the woods is very soothing to my soul.
Yeah.
So anything like
Did you grow, is it like very woody hill country out in North Carolina where you are? Yeah.
It's a lot of woods. I grew up on horses, so going trail riding and stuff. And so, being in the woods just kind of takes me back to being on my horse. Yeah,
that makes sense. What's the best thing that's happened to you or your family in the last 60 days or so?
Oh, the best thing.
I just like to end on like a little, like positive note here. Not that this conversation has been positive, but
oh goodness, there's been so much great stuff. But I will say that I got super sick in February and I literally was bedridden for 5 weeks. So I'll say that the most positive thing that's came out recently is I'm getting my health back.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, good. That's good to hear. Not COVID? Was it COVID? COVID still? Not a thing? Okay.
No. It was like autoimmune type of thing, but I kicked that sucker. I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, good for you. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm like, healthy, fresh, looking good. So, and then finally, can you name one or two people who've been most influential to the way you think or your success?
One or two, huh? Oh, man, there's a lot. I would say Glenn Sanford, who's the founder of EXP, has had a lot to do with me thinking big and thinking about the technology. He's like a tech genius. And so being able to just know him and talk to him has been great. Someone else who's actually been very beneficial is one of my coaches from 4 years ago, Coach Burt. So he was great with teaching me how to become that person of interest and branding yourself and all of that. So I would say those are two, but I have a lot of mentors and a lot of people that I look up to and I go to for questions, and I follow them and just do what they tell me to do.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds like it. I mean, you're doing this course, the mastermind. He sounds like you're in multiple masterminds. So I'll end with this question then. Like, what do you spend on an annual basis on your coaching and education? Can you tell us that? Masterminds included, everything. Because I mean, we all pay for our education one form or another. And it sounds like you take it to heart and you actually go and you spend money on yourself and growing your knowledge base. Yeah.
I mean, this year, like just being a part of Tony's group, it's probably going to be close to 160, 170.
Yep. Yeah. Sounds about right. Yeah. So if you're listening, invest in yourself, spend the money on yourself and grow. And, you can be just like Amanda, traveling realtor. Awesome. Hey, I appreciate you jumping on, sharing your information, your knowledge, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. If you want to reach out to Amanda, all her stuff is going to be in the show notes. And thanks again. Did you know that 80% of the agents we speak with got into real estate in order to gain passive income so they could obtain financial freedom and become work optional? If you want to stay up to date, the best way is to make sure you're subscribed. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do it now. We'll catch you on the next episode.